Morning, all. All right, so I did the previews a little bit different when I made up the board last night. I've got the top two scorers in each team's history on the board, and obviously with Seattle, that was pretty easy to find. But I thought it was a fun way to do it. The previews, I understand, it can get a little repetitive. I try to change things up a little. This is just kind of a fun thing for today. It's going to be a busy night. It's the busiest night during the 3 weeks that was to be the Olympic break. We have 10 games tonight. Let's get into it. At 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, we have the Washington Capitals in against Philly. We have 5 games starting at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 Eastern. Washington did lose against Philly the one time they've played them so far. 2-1 for Philadelphia on November 6th. For Washington, they are 27-15-9. They won their last game. They're 5-5 over their last 10. Their all-time leading scorer is Alex Ovechkin. 1,246 games, 761 goals, 621 assists, 1,382 points. And yeah, likely the greatest goal scorer we've seen. Backstrom getting close to 1,000 points, 1,029 games played, 262 goals, 732 assists, 994 points. So he's 6 points away from 1,000. There'll be a video when he gets there. On the Philadelphia side, they are 15-24-9 over their last 10. They're 2-6-2. They had a loss in extra time in their last game. That was, of course, a game that they could have won and let it slip away from them. We'll see how things go tonight. Bobby Clark's still their all-time leading scorer in 1,144 games played, 358 goals, 852 assists, 1,210 points. Claude Giroux, still currently a Flyer, is number 2 on the list, 988 games, 289 goals, 606 assists, 895 points. So he's close to 900. We'll see if he gets there with Philadelphia or if he's traded before then. So the other two meetings between these teams will be February 26th and April 12th. Also at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Detroit Red Wings and the New York Rangers will renew their acquaintances for the first time this season. Original 6 foes, though. This is the first of 3 meetings. For Detroit, they're 22-22-6. Over their last 10, they're 4-5-1, and they did lose their last game in regulation. Gordie Howe is still their leading scorer, probably going to be there forever. 1,687 games played, 786 goals, 1,023 assists, 1,809 points. Nobody's catching that. Yzerman, 1,514 games, 692 goals, 1,063 assists, 1,755 points. And at one point in time, it looked like maybe Yzerman would go for that points record of Howe's as a Red Wing, but it didn't happen. On the Rangers side, they're 31-13-4 over their last 10. They are 7-3. They have won 3 in a row, so pretty hot. And for Detroit, we'll see whether or not they can cool them down. Rod Gilbert, the leading scorer all time for the Rangers, 1,065 games, 406 goals, 615 assists, 1,021 points. Brian Leetch is number 2 on the list, 1,129 games, 240 goals, 741 assists for 981 points. It was weird to see him get that 1,000th point, not as a Ranger. So, yeah, Leetch on the board. I just thought it was a fun thing to do. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific. The Pittsburgh Penguins in against the Toronto Maple Leafs for the second and final time. And Pittsburgh's won the first 2 meetings. October 23rd, the reason for the No Mercy decal/magnet on the board, a 7-1 win for Pittsburgh. November 20th, Pittsburgh won. Slower scoring, but they still won 2-0. So we'll see how things go tonight with Pittsburgh now with 31-11-8 overall. Last 10 games, 6-1-3. They've won 4 in a row. Mario Lemieux, their all-time leading scorer, 915 games, 690 goals, 1,033 assists for 1,723 points. I don't think anybody's catching him either. Even Sid the Kid. Sidney Crosby, 1,077 games played, 500 goals, 871 assists, 1,371 points. So I think Lemieux's points record as a Penguin is pretty darn safe, but we shall see how long Crosby plays. On the Toronto side, they're 31-12-3. Over their last 10, they're 7-3. They've won their last game, though, right? So Sundin's still the leading scorer all time for Toronto. 981 games, 420 goals, 567 assists, 987 points as a Maple Leaf. It is odd that the Maple Leafs don't have a 1,000-point scorer in their history, but here we are. That would change, of course, if Austin Matthews sticks around for the long term, I would think. I can't see any way that kid doesn't hit 1,000 points in his career. Daryl Sittler, 844 games, 389 goals, 527 assists, 916 points for Daryl Sittler. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. start time between St. Louis and Montreal. December 11th, these teams met in St. Louis. The Blues won that game 4-1. On the Blues side, they're 28-14-5 over their last 10 games. They are 6-4. They have won 2 in a row. Bernie Federko, still the all-time leading scorer for them, 927 games, 352 goals, 721 assists, 1,073 points. Brett Hull, 744 games, 527 goals, 409 assists for 936 points. So those records, relatively safe for St. Louis. Montreal, their records are, nobody's catching the top two on this list for a long time. Montreal's 8-33-7 over their last 10. They're 0-8-2. They've lost their last 8 in regulation. It's just ugly. Guy Lafleur, still the all-time leading scorer. 961 games, 518 goals, 728 assists for 1,246 points. Jean Beliveau, 1,125 games for him, 507 goals, 712 assists for 1,219 points. So, yeah, it's going to be a while before anybody's in the upper echelon of the scorers with the Montreal Canadiens. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start time between Ottawa and Buffalo. No mercy sticker again, this time because Ottawa didn't show the mercy. On January 18th, Buffalo won this matchup 3-1. On January 25th, it was a 5-0 win for the Ottawa Senators. For Ottawa, they're 17-25-4 overall over their last 10. They're 4-5-1. They lost their last game in regulation. Daniel Alfredsson, their leading scorer all time, 1,178 games played, 426 goals, 682 assists for 1,108 points. Jason Spezza, 686 games played, 251 goals, 436 assists for 687 points. So Spezza likely to stay one of the top 2 all-time scorers for a while because most of the Sens players that would get there are still pretty early in their careers. Buffalo, 16-24-8 is their overall record. Over their last 10, they're 5-4-1. They've won 2 in a row, so this should be an entertaining matchup to end out the season series between the two. Of course, Gilbert Perreault is their all-time leading scorer. 1,191 games, 512 goals, 814 assists, 1,326 points. Dave Andreychuk, number 2 on the list, 837 games played, 368 goals, 436 assists for 804 points. So, yeah, Buffalo, they do have that. They have, pretty good scorers there with Andreychuk and Perreault on their all-time list. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, the Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders. The Islanders won the first meeting on December 16th, 3-1 against the Bruins. The Bruins right now are 27-16-4 over their last 10. They're 4-4-2. They lost their last game in extra time. So, yeah, that was a shootout loss. We'll see how things go tonight. And with the hopeful return of Bergeron, we'll see if that turns their fortunes around. Ray Bourque is still the all-time leading scorer, 1,519 games, 395 goals, 1,111 assists, 1,506 points for Boston before he went off to Colorado to win a Stanley Cup. Johnny Busick, still number 2 on the list, 1,436 games played, 545 goals, 794 assists, 1,339 points. On the Islanders side of things have gotten dark for the Islanders yet again. They're 17-20-6 over their last 10. They're 3-7. They've lost their last 3 in regulation, and it's spiraling in the wrong direction quickly here. Trottier is their all-time leading scorer in 1,123 games played, 500 goals, 853 assists for 1,353 points before he went to Pittsburgh to acquire himself a couple more Stanley Cup rings. He still had fingers left. Bossy, 752 games played, 573 goals, 553 assists for 1,126 points. Should have been more, but for injury reasons, he wasn't able to continue beyond that. Then at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific, the Seattle Kraken in against the Winnipeg Jets. The great history of Seattle. Winnipeg has beaten Seattle 3-0 on December 9th, so this is the second of 3 meetings. Boston and the Islanders will meet again on March 26th. I don't think I mentioned that. So on the Seattle side, 16-29-4 is the record over their last 10. They're 4-6. They did lose their last game in regulation. Jared McCann, their all-time leading scorer, 44 games, 20 goals, 11 assists, 31 points. First 20-goal scorer in the history of the Seattle franchise. Eberle, 47 games, 13 goals, 14 assists, 27 points. We'll see if he heats up now that we're past the All-Star break. On the Winnipeg side, 21-18-8. This is a must-win for the Jets because they all are right now. Over their last 10, they're now 4-4-2. They did win last night. They're trying to make it back-to-back wins on back-to-back days. Wheeler is the all-time leading scorer for the Jets. 793 games played, 233 goals, 494 assists, 727 points. And because it also includes the Thrashers franchise, Kovalchuk, 594 games, 328 goals, 287 assists, 615 points. Keep in mind, I get these from the official NHL app, so I was just to be clear that the Jets, it's the Thrasher Jets, they qualify as the all-time leading scorers. The third meeting between these teams will be April 13th. Then at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, the Columbus Blue Jackets in against the Chicago Blackhawks. The first time these teams met in Columbus, Chicago won that matchup 4-2. So Columbus looking for some measure of revenge. The Blue Jackets 23-23-1. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They lost their last game in regulation. They are remarkably consistent. Nash, the all-time leading scorer still for them, of course, 674 games, 289 goals, 258 assists for 547 points. Cam Atkinson, he left the team as the number 2 all-time leading scorer, 627 games, 213 goals, 189 assists, 402 points. On the Chicago side, 18-24-7 record over their last 10. They're 3-6-1. They did win their last game. Stan Mikita, still the all-time leading scorer for them. 1,396 games, 541 goals, 926 assists, 1,467 points. Bobby Hull's number 2 on the list. 1,036 games, 604 goals, 549 assists, 1,153 points. 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific start time. The Anaheim Ducks and the Edmonton Oilers. So at this point, there will be 9 games on at the exact same time. So do what I can. The Oilers won the first meeting October 19th by a score of 6-5. There is a third meeting between these teams on April 3rd. So for the Ducks, we're into must-win territory for them as well. 23-18-9 overall over their last 10. They're 4-4-2. They lost their last 2 games in regulation. Ryan Getzlaf, the all-time leading scorer now, 1,143 games played, 287 goals, 727 assists for 1,009 points. Teemu Selanne, the number 2 leading scorer all-time, 966 games, 457 goals, 531 assists for 988 points. On the Edmonton side, 26-18-3 is their record under the new coach. They're trying to go to 4-0. They've won 3 in a row to go 7-2-1 in their last 10. So things are going pretty well for the Oilers, and they're going to look to make things worse for the Ducks tonight if they can beat them. Wayne Gretzky, 696 games played, 583 goals, 1,086 points, or 1,086 assists for 1,669 points. So for McDavid, that's the goal if he's going to try to get there. I have no doubt that McDavid can. It's a question then of does he spend his entire career in Edmonton? That's the question people have. Jari Kurri, 754 games in Edmonton, so he played more games as an Oiler than Gretzky. 474 goals, 569 assists for 1,043 points. So the Oilers, 2 players over 1,000 points at the top of their all-time leaderboard. And then the late game, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, the Vancouver Canucks and the San Jose Sharks. The first meeting between these teams on December 16th, Vancouver won that one 5-2. The third meeting will be April 9th, so we'll see whether or not Vancouver can even up the series tonight. Vancouver 22-21-6, also in must-win territory. Last 10 games, they're 4-3-3. They did win their last game, and if they're going to convince the new general manager and team president to kind of not bother with the team too much, they need to go on a bit of a run here. Henrik Sedin, the all-time leading scorer, 1,330 games played, 240 goals, 830 assists for a nice, even 1,070 points. Daniel Sedin, 1,306 games, 393 goals, 648 assists for 1,041 points. On the San Jose side, they're 22-21-4 overall. Last 10 games, they're 2-5-3. They did lose their last game in regulation. Patrick Marleau is the all-time leading scorer for the Sharks, of course, 1,609 games played, 522 goals, 589 assists, 1,111 points, and to my knowledge, still not officially retired. Joe Thornton, 1,104 games, 251 goals, 804 assists, 1,055 points as a Shark. There you go. I thought that would be a fun thing to throw in there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, also let me know who you think are going to win the games tonight. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.